Welcome to this explainer. Look, we're going to completely transform how you view property management today. If you've been, banging your head against the wall dealing with late rent, ignored messages, or confrontational renters, well, you're likely making one critical mistake. Today, we're shifting the focus from managing physical units to mastering the actual psychology of your tenants. It's a total game changer. Okay, let's dive right into this tactical survival guide. We've got 5 main areas: the mindset shift, spotting real signals, onboarding authority, communication control, and finally, handling difficult behaviors. Let's get right to it. Starting with part 1, the mindset shift, from units to humans. We absolutely have to start with a fundamental paradigm shift about what your job actually entails day to day. You are not managing units. You are managing human behavior under financial pressure. If you take away just one single thing from this whole explainer, let it be this empowering lens. See, most property managers fail because they treat everyone exactly the same, or they react emotionally instead of strategically. They kind of just delay action, hoping a tenant's behavior magically improves on its own. But once you realize you're a strategic behavior manager, well, everything changes.
Now, what's really fascinating is how predictably people behave under stress. They usually fall into one of 4 distinct buckets. You've got your consistent tenants, who are just fully compliant, awesome. Then you have the cooperative but weak crowd. These are your chronically late payers. Next are the avoidant tenants, who will literally ignore every single piece of communication you send. And finally, the confrontational tenants, who actively challenge your authority.
To handle these distinct patterns, we use a simple but frankly unbreakable decision framework. Step 1 is identify. You gotta figure out the tenant type early on, ideally within the first 30 to 60 days of the moving in. Step 2 is adapt. You adjust your communication style to fit that specific behavioral pattern. And step 3 is control. Listen, no matter who you're dealing with, you absolutely must maintain total control of your consistent rules. Moving on to section 2, spotting real tenant signals, the first test.
So let's look at the screening phase, because while application documents can definitely lie, human behavior during a property viewing, it rarely does. Let's test your observation skills with a real-world scenario. Between 2 different applicants, who do you think is the lower risk?
Picture this. Applicant A has money, they're rushing to move in, and they're dodging the paperwork like it's radioactive. I'll pay later, let me just move in first, right? Then you have applicant B. They're taking their time, asking detailed questions about the property rules and their obligations. Believe it or not, applicant B is your golden ticket. Applicant A is rushed urgency and paperwork avoidance. Those are major, major hidden red flags. Applicant B, just by seeking clarity on expectations, is showing a willingness to follow your structure. Let's jump to section 3, setting the stage. Onboarding authority. Okay, so you've selected that low-risk tenant. Now you enter the onboarding phase. And listen to me, this is exactly where they learn what they can get away with. Here are your absolute non-negotiables. You need a signed agreement before they move in. No exceptions. You need full payment, that's rent plus deposit, before you hand over those keys. And the rules must be explained verbally and in writing. If you start out soft here or show flexibility by handing over keys before full payment is made, you're practically guaranteeing future conflict. Flexibility at onboarding equals problems later. If you aren't firm now, you're going to really struggle to become firm later on.
All right, section 4, mastering tenant communication control.
I'll tell you right now, this is the most underrated skill in the entire playbook. How you communicate dictates exactly how tenants treat you. If you send a message saying, "Please try to pay soon, it's becoming a problem," well, it's vague and it's emotional. If you sound unsure, they're going to test you. If you sound aggressive, they'll resist you. Instead, you need to be clear and firm so they respect the system. Try something like this. Rent is overdue. Outstanding amount. Kindly clear by date. See the difference? Clear, not long. Firm, not emotional. System-driven and consistent, not reactive. Finally, section 5. Boss battles. Handling difficult behaviors. Let's apply our framework to the daily grind, starting with what I call the friendly defaulter. Now, surprisingly, this cooperative but weak tenant is actually the most dangerous tenant you're going to face. Why? Well, because they communicate well, they apologize constantly, and they might even pay partially. But what they're actually doing is training you to accept delay. They are literally using your empathy against you. So your response here must be kind, but incredibly strict. Actually, scratch that. It needs to be ironclad. You acknowledge their communication, but you never, ever relax the agreed upon rules. Simply say, "I appreciate the update. We'll proceed based on the agreed payment terms." Boom. Always bring the conversation right back to the original agreement.
Then we have the avoidant tenant. You know the one. They ghost your calls, they make excuses through third parties. Your strategy here is rapid escalation. Stop chasing them. Instantly shift to written communication, cut out the back and forth chatter, and issue a formal notification with a strict deadline. Something straightforward like, "We've been unable to reach you. This is to formally notify you of outstanding rent. Kindly respond by this date." Let the system do the heavy lifting.
And then, of course, there's the confrontational tenant. They might shout at your caretaker or aggressively refuse to follow the compound rules. The absolutely wrong response here is to raise your voice, argue emotionally, or get sucked into long debates. Remember, your goal isn't to win an argument, it's to maintain control of the process. The right move? Escalate formally, issue written notice, and coldly, calmly reinforce the rules.
To maintain this high level of emotional intelligence and consistency across all these different personalities, you've got to rely on strict systems. Let's be real, if your rent collection depends on your memory, you will lose money. You need, at the very minimum, a rent schedule, a payment tracking sheet, and some kind of scheduled reminder structure. The system completely takes the emotion out of the equation.
I want to leave you with this final, really crucial thought. Arrears and broken rules aren't just isolated financial issues. They are highly contagious behavioral precedents. If one tenant delays payment without consequence, what do you honestly think the others will do? They're going to follow suit. Difficult tenants test your consistency. So you really have to ask yourself every single time you let a rule slide or bend to emotional pressure, what culture are you allowing to take root in your property? Stick to your systems, manage the behavior, and you won't just manage units, you'll master them.